Welcome back to another episode of Something Different by Reset.
What's up?
Thank you for everyone that's tuning in today. And I hope, you want to learn something about lifestyle by Reset today.
Got a really good episode in the works right now. It's going to be exciting.
So as we discussed, we talked about how Lifestyle by Reset has 4 Fs. The 4 Fs are fashion, fitness, food, and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're kind of going to focus on fashion.
Fashion, yeah.
And the soon to be launched apparel line.
Wearing them again? We're wearing them again.
So how did we start? How did we start all of this? I can't even tell you. Why an apparel line? Where did this idea even come from? So when we were thinking about lifestyle in general, we, going back to how to define lifestyle, I had all these ideas, and all these ideas where people would say, you should pursue this, you should do this, or, go for it.
You're trying to figure out what did lifestyle represent? Like what was, Lifestyle by Reset? What was in that?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that kind of thing?
There are all these ideas,
yeah.
And all these ideas, I needed to categorize these ideas in something. And so
we brainstormed.
And would go back and forth and talk about what was lifestyle? What about lifestyle?
And then it came down to what did we like to do? Or what did you like to do?
Yeah. And it was fashion.
Eat, travel.
Stay healthy. And just
apparel.
Yeah.
Or fashion, because you're into fashion.
Yeah.
And then fun, of course.
I mean, fun is so broad that it can be anything.
It's on purpose, obviously. Obviously, it's on purpose.
And I feel like when we then started thinking about Lifestyle by Reset, we were like, well, now how do we market Lifestyle by Reset? And we started thinking about
swag. Yeah.
Swag. We were like, okay, well, maybe we'll do a little bit of swag. Maybe we'll do t-shirts, or maybe we'll do, and then I was like, well, if we're going to do swag and pay for marketing at this point, I've always wanted to kind of have my own clothing, design my own clothing. And I've had somebody who complains about his clothes all the time, where it comes to, oh, why does this have a logo? Or man, why can't they make this just in a better quality? And we'd always go back and forth about,
I'm just really particular about, materials and weights of hoodies and things like that,
He'd always complain about the fact that, we'd be going out at night, but then there'd be a logo on it. And he would just be like, I'm not wearing this. Or, why do they have to put this here? Or even those little tags, tags on t-shirts. He will not wear a t-shirt that has a logo or a branded imprint on it. He will just not wear it.
Some logos deserve it though, like Nike, of course, but
but you prefer to wear.
I just prefer not to be flashy or
but
bothersome.
And it got hard to find things like that because everyone has their own preference, and people prefer logo. Some people don't prefer logo, and it's not every brand makes it, right?
Yep.
Not everyone has unbranded, or what's the word? I don't even know. But
unlogoed.
Yeah, unlogoed apparel. So we talked about it, and I was like, well, why wouldn't we just market our own brand
through our own apparel?
And at that point, we were like, how the hell do we even do that? Where do you even start? Where do you even go with that? And I mean, there was a lot of research, right? Going back to trying to find a manufacturer, and where would we find the right manufacturer?
Where do you even start?
We talked to a few people, and they were like, well, hit up Alibaba, and Alibaba might have somebody that can make you something or has something that you're looking for.
Yep.
And let's just say we went through a ton of manufacturers, and a ton of samples is what I was really
Oh
saying.
yeah, samples
A
like
ton of samples to kind of figure
the
out.
Amazon, the delivery guy, the UPS delivery guy was here like 3-4 times a day sometimes.
And it was just samples on samples, but it was very disappointing. I think it was like
Yeah, because
getting the product and thinking, oh, yeah, I think this is the right one. And then receiving it and realizing that,
sometimes the picture didn't look exactly like the actual
yeah,
item.
but it was hard because you had no control over quality.
Yeah,
It was very like you have to take their word for what you were getting, and then you'd get the sample and you'd say, what is this and what am I paying for? And at that point we had to like revisit how we wanted to like
yeah,
create our apparel line.
yeah. Because like
And
back to that brainstorming session, it was like you wanted to have the values, right? Like
yeah,
you define that as you want quality, customer experience.
yeah. And in order to have quality, I think we needed to be kind of
You
in the
weren't getting
front
that.
line
You weren't getting
working.
that from those samples.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
But we wanted to be like front line. We wanted to have communication with them and be able to kind of
Work with them.
create, yeah, like
Yeah, yeah,
work with
yeah,
them and create pieces that
yeah.
really, were again goes
Meant
back to
something.
our,
Yeah,
yeah, but go back to our values
yeah.
and like what we wanted to sell.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing for me is quality. Like
Hmm.
this goes back to what I've said before, and it is, nowadays our generations that are younger and older, everyone is being more cautious of what they're spending their money on. And I think people
And people
are,
are willing to pay for quality too, like
I think that's what
to
it's
some
come to
degree.
though. I
To
think
some degree.
it's not even that. I think people are being more cautious of where they're spending their money on clothing, because you'd rather buy something that lasts, you know, 20 to 50 wears versus buying something that you're going to wash once and you're going to have to throw away. I'm just being,
Fast fashion.
but
It's still a huge market. It's still a huge market.
it
But
is, but it's quality,
yeah,
right? Like quality makes a difference.
no.
I want our customers to receive our product and say, like,
Yes,
damn,
this is
she
worth
she
it.
really did
This
talk
is
about
worth it.
quality. Like this is what she wanted.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah,
it's
you want to
not,
be able to feel it,
yeah.
experience it.
And you'll see once the product is available for sale, you'll see there are different types of fabric, different.
Yeah,
I
not just like an apparel manufacturer you have to find. You have to find like
A fabric
the fabric
manufacturer,
manufacturer.
and
Yeah.
it was really it's interesting and it's a lot of fun learning about the different types of fabric, but also learning to create your own types of fabric
Hmm.
and
Different blends and stuff like
different
that. Yeah.
blends,
Yeah.
and learning about, we're still learning about it. Don't get me wrong, I think I'm still working on a few pieces currently for another drop,
Hmm.
and even that has been a learning curve because you are learning about the different cottons that are available, from bamboo to elastane to spandex to whatever. There's just so much
Hmm.
out there. And
And then all the finishings on top of that too, like
yeah,
the French terry or the fleece,
I mean, who knew?
heavyweight.
Who knew? What was it that I was telling you about? And we recently learned about the difference of what French terry was and what actual soft fleece was.
You don't really pay attention until you actually start researching these things, right?
But the crazy part is it's the exact same thing. It was just the
It's just the
finishing.
finishing, yeah.
It's literally just the finishing.
It's
And
not a
people don't
different
realize
it's
that
not a
because,
different fabric, yeah.
but people don't, okay, let me Google this.
The average person doesn't, yeah, think of that.
Let me
Yeah.
Google what French terry is and what fleece is, and oh, what's the difference?
But when you see it, it actually does look like different materials, but
Yeah,
it's not.
it
It's the
does.
same.
It's
The
just,
more you know.
but that again, going back to finding the manufacturer, we then started looking at manufacturers within North America, and again went through the sampling process and receiving samples
You
from
brought it
all
back
these
home.
different, yeah, all these different manufacturers throughout North America, and still couldn't find the right one, but then found the right one. I think if that,
Yeah, I mean, of course, at some point you're gonna find the right one.
yeah,
Hopefully.
um,
And you
but the
did.
right one kind of, the reason it all worked out was that our manufacturer is they have the same values as we
Kind of
do,
shit, yeah.
and they really,
That was important for when you were looking for like you wanted somebody that was, willing to work with you, grow with
yeah,
you, partner with you,
yeah,
develop a good relationship. And I think
and be
you
able to
started that
grow
for
with
sure.
the biggest thing was be able to grow with us,
Yeah.
and if we grow, they're able to
Let you design a couple pieces,
design.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Pattern making and all that stuff.
Learning about design. Okay, if you're gonna, let's just talk about design itself. Okay, having a piece of paper, sketching something out, and then saying, "This is my design,"
Drawing a hoodie.
and then learning that, well, now you need a tech pack,
Yeah.
and then you got to learn about tech packs. Well, what the hell are tech packs?
Hmm.
And then creating tech packs to give to your pattern makers, who then create your design. They cut out the pattern and then goes through production, and it creates your actual design, which was probably the most interesting and like fun process, I think. But at the
It's
same
kind of
time,
cool, yeah.
it goes through production, they make the sample for you, and then the amount of back and forth that we did with adjustments with the sample and making sure that we like the fit, and we think,
The fit, the stitching, like the cuts, everything,
yeah,
really.
oh my god, and just learning about the different stitching, like
Yeah.
who knew. But they
So
were so great to work with,
yeah,
and be able to kind of figure out what we think is what our customers would want.
yeah.
I think that's also a very hard process. Is we may like something, but it may not be something that you may like, right? And
That's a good point too, because now that's the other thing you wanted with your manufacturer was if our customers don't like something, then you can adjust and change it
yes,
on the fly kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
So I think after once we start out, well, once we launch our first drop, I think we'd love for everyone's reviews, because it is something that's important, because if there is something that we need to adjust,
Be real.
yeah,
Just
like
be
tell
real.
us and we'll make the adjustment. I think that's how we all grow, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how the brand itself will grow.
Hmm.
um and then now we
So what
finally,
items?
oh my
You
god,
found the
we
manufacturer.
found the right manufacturer. No, but it's not about the items. We found the right manufacturer, and then figuring out, how do we sell these pieces?
Yeah, like
You know,
can you even sell them?
can I
Where do
even
you
sell
sell them?
them?
How
And
do you sell
yeah, and then having to learn about the Textile Act. And this is
them?
going back to like my legal
Oh yeah, yeah.
background, and learning about and making sure that we're not selling anything without the right information on the apparel. And this
Lots
goes,
and lots of regulatory. Yeah.
yeah, there's so much you have
Was
to
it the
have and
Textile
know.
Act of like
I
1939
don't.
or whatever? 1,000 pages long?
We had to make sure that
Which
we
you
were
actually read?
we had to make sure that we were able to sell within North America, make sure that we had all of the right criteria on our labels. And yes, this goes back to actually creating the labels. I designed the labels myself, I created the care labels myself. And
On Microsoft Paint?
no, not on Microsoft Paint.
A little more tech savvier tool then, I guess, right?
Yes. But while designing this, I realized that, now I've got to make sure that I've got bilingual on both labels in order to sell within, in Canada or in US. I need to make sure I followed all the
Yeah,
regulations.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, but even like the material of the label.
so trying to figure out what material we wanted our care labels to be, and our actual,
the label that's inside on the inside of your garment.
yeah. And realizing there are over 100 different types of fabrics that you can use for
Which
that.
I know I don't like the paper ones because obviously they're annoying. They scratch you and shit.
Yeah, but
Or
it's
the
nice
long ass ones that roll up and just like
when you
become a
wash
big
them. When you wash them and they
become a
roll
big
up, and
ball
then
in
they
your
become
shirts.
like this thing, and then you just want to cut it, but then when you cut it, it
like how you gonna have
you.
how you gonna have a little t-shirt, like a thin t-shirt on with this big ball of yeah. Anyways,
So it was important. All of these things were important to us. We made sure that they were comfortable. Like when you wore something, you weren't uncomfortable. I think that's where we want to get
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
But all of these things are things that we learned about during this
Yeah.
process. With the labels itself, who knew you needed to know all this? Who knew you needed an RN and a CA number, which is actually numbers that you need on the garment in order to sell within US and Canada. So there was a lot of learning. It was a lot of learning, and um, it was interesting.
If anybody wants to drop another apparel line, then hit us up. We'll let you know how to do it.
There's so much. There is so much more that I don't even think I got to, but I'm just trying to give you guys like a general sense of all the things that we had to do.
You got the idea, got the manufacturer, homegrown, Canadian, North American, cottons from North America, manufacturers from there.
Made our labels, designed our labels, and then
What are you gonna launch? What's the drop?
So
clearly hoodies.
Hoodies and crew necks are going to be our first drop. And this takes us back to a social media post that we did do a few weeks ago. And that was about logo or unlogo. And this was a discussion we've had over time during the process of even just like finding manufacturers. We were trying to figure out, do we do just all branded? Do we not do branded? What do we do? How do we want to sell it? And originally I wanted to do everything branded, and then realized, he would not wear it if I branded everything. And
well, selfishly, I wanted just a hoodie, just a plain black hoodie. I've always been in the market for just a nice black plain hoodie, no logos,
plain black
that
hoodie,
looks good,
but without strings.
No strings.
That was something that really bothered him.
No strings.
I'm also someone who usually just pulls out the string.
Flip flopping around everywhere, hitting my face and shit.
And I didn't want the little like hooks that always came here. I didn't like that. And so I was like, you know what? This is something that we need to do.
Yeah.
And a very interesting thing was like when we did do this poll, it was like a mix.
Yeah, actually, it was very interesting.
Like 50% of our...
It was like 50-50 wanted logo and no logo.
Yeah. And we were like, okay,
I don't know if they were lying or not, but...
I don't know. So then we went back and forth about that. And we were like, well, maybe we'll just do one color with logo and then we'll do the rest unlogoed. And then I was like, no, you know what? 50% of the people said they wanted logo and 50% said they didn't want logo. So let's just do it throughout. And so we ended up doing... For the first drop, we did end up doing...
You asked, we listened.
Yeah. We did end up doing...
Nice little plug there.
Every color that we will be dropping will have logo and unlogo, and you'll be able to kind of pick and choose what you prefer. And hopefully you'll like both,
Yeah, this is the Harbor Blue right here that I'm wearing.
And this is...
Oliva.
Yeah.
Oliva.
Oh gosh, the names. That took forever too, but
that's a whole another episode.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of all this other stuff that we had done. For today, I think this is a little good insight of what the apparel about the apparel and what's coming.
Where the idea came from.
And then
some of the hurdles and the struggles.
Yeah. I think what we'll focus on in another episode closer to the launch is really packaging, the logistics behind all
oh my God. No.
And actually the launch itself. We are getting very, very close. I'm very excited for
launch
all of
date
it.
is coming.
It's coming very soon. You'll start seeing it on our social media soon. So look out for it.
Can you see the stress in her face? There's some bags. I don't know.
We're almost there. We're almost there, guys. We're at the final stages of the website and just the apparel itself, and we're excited. I'm very excited.
Lots of good things coming.
But thank you for tuning in today, and we'll look forward to our next episode and you guys learning about something different.